Oh, wait, there's a Monokuma over there. Why do we have Monokuma? What the hell?
Oh, 999 is
we're
maxed
maxed
out. Okay. Also, there's literally nothing to investigate in here.
Well, I'm glad we looked anyways.
There's balls on the floor. Sweet.
Sonia, you're not doing a whole lot of
Wait,
investigating.
when did we get to the 5th floor?
Huh? That's weird. This is the hallway I walked through to get to the gymnasium, but it's clearly different. Is this Monokuma's doing too? Is he trying to confuse us again? I don't know how he's doing it, but he keeps doing it over and over again. It's so persistent. And I'm not gonna fall for his trap. There's no way this will make me back down. Well, we get a map at least.
Oh my god, the pillow's missing pieces.
This hallway, there is a strange feeling to it, no? As if an invisible wall has been erected to limit our movement. Is it just me?
Well, we can't go in there. I wouldn't call them invisible walls. Also, hey, we're level 70 now. Oh, right, pet.
Good job.
Alright, fuck it, I'll go for it. Nope, okay.
This is some weird stuff we're seeing.
It's like the top floor of Hope's Peak, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, we can actually go to the dojo.
Dojo Jojo.
Jojo.
Oh,
There's something on the left there.
Is this a dojo? It's full of strange things that make me think there's no way we're inside a school. Perhaps it's a mistake to expect the inside of this building to make sense.
Is there a Monokuma around here?
I'll check after I look at this. What is this? Is this a manga? The title is Manga for Morons, A History of Hope's Peak Academy by Monokuma? Why is a manga with such a suspicious-looking title laying out in the open like this?
Let's start with history first class. Reading manga is the third best way to learn about history. Then what's the first, you ask? That depends on the person.
That was random.
So, just as I thought, Monokuma made this. Really, the fact that it says by Monokuma on it doesn't...
Could have been made by, Junko.
That totally explains how suspicious it looks. I really want to just
the
ignore
scary
it.
part is, what in the last game, wasn't Monokuma just controlled by Junko? Getting moved at the very end, sort of post-credits.
Yeah?
So what the fuck is he?
I have no idea. AI?
I really want to just ignore it. There's no way I can do that. Fine, I'll look at it. I'll look at anything that might be a clue to getting out of here, no matter what it is. I picked up the manga off the floor and started flipping through the pages. It's an introduction to Hope's Peak Academy's history, as narrated by the cutesy character on the cover.
Which one?
The story begins with an introduction to Hope's Peak Academy. Hope's Peak Academy is a government-funded... Oh, Rhino.
Hope's Peak Academy is a government-funded school of privilege where only the most talented high school students can hope to attend. Built to raise hope in the nation's future, many of its alumni are key leaders of various industries. New students are chosen through a scouting process, but the ones who scout them are Hope's Peak Academy's teachers, who serve as both educators and researchers of talent. Hope's Peak Academy isn't just a school for talent, it's also a school for researching talent as well. However, for the past few years, Hope's Peak Academy has been suffering from a decline in funding. If this persists, the Academy believes they will not be able to make progress with their research of talent. So they decide to implement a new system, the Reserve Department. Unlike the main department, who scouts for students, the Reserve Department utilizes a general entrance exam. Normal faculty was hired and placed in charge of looking after the reserve department. The expenses and exam fees for the reserve department are quite high compared to most schools. Nevertheless, Hope's Academy received an endless stream of applicants. Hope's Academy was now available to talentless commoners, people who only cared about the brand. With this, Hope's Academy managed to amass sizable funds, and further research of talent began. Great Hope's Academy's earnest wish, a true genius who would become mankind's hope. But just when they thought everything was going well, an unprecedented incident occurred. The incident that triggered the tragedy, the biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history. That's right, it was the tragedy of Hope's Academy. Hope's Academy was crippled by this incident and was forced to shut down without accomplishing anything. The end.
Feels incomplete somehow.
Huh? The ending was so sudden, like a manga that's suddenly cancelled in the middle of its run. Plus, these phrases mentioned at the end of this manga, the tragedy and the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy, these names are so melodramatic. There's no way these incidents really happened, right? This manga only mentions the names, so I don't really know the details, but nah, it'd just be a waste of time to wonder about things that don't make sense. More importantly, I learned something because of this manga. The reserve department. That department was only built to collect money. I was one of those reserve corps students, right?
That's weird.
Oh, you're here again.
The thing that's weird is you, of course.
Huh?
Why did you forget that you were a part of the reserve department? The Future Foundation only took away your school life memories, right? But you should have known even before you entered that you had no talent, right? So I think it's weird that you actually forgot something like that, too.
What do you want me to say?
Based on my assumption, the Future Foundation must have wanted to hide the fact that you were one of those Reserve Corps students. Or you willingly sealed those memories yourself.
Huh?
You wanted to be confident in yourself, so you wanted to forget everything that embarrassed you. You know, when humans experience trauma, sometimes they erase their memory of what happened. It happens pretty often. Not that I know anything about that, though.
You saying it's my fault I forgot? That's not it!
When things get inconvenient, you always get angry and try to brush it off. Well, that's expected of a Reserve Corps student.
That's racist.
Damn it! What the heck? Obtain Truth Bullet, Reserve Department. Alright, let's see if
to the
there...
right, yeah?
Yeah, I'm just looking to see if there's a Monokuma. I don't see one. There might be one in the lockers, though. It's armor and a helmet. The map developers designed this to reflect the Japanese dojo? Map developers?!
I don't know what he's talking about.
This cherry tree is in full bloom. It may be a tasteful sight to see a blooming cherry tree inside a dojo, but in this situation, it just looks bizarre.
Telescoping.
That target seems pretty far away. If the production team had had more time, there could have been a minigame here. Wait, what am I saying?
I'm sorry, what?
Moving on! The cherry tree is proudly displaying its full blossoms. The falling petals add to the elegance of the scene. If Yoko and Pekka were here, it would have looked truly picturesque.
Are you sure?
For their sakes as well, I will definitely go home. Yeah, because they, they had traditional Japanese clothing.
Yoko doesn't seem like the kind of person who wanted to be.
Yeah, but they had traditional Japanese clothing is the point.
Yeah, I guess.
There's a straw post. Guess that means it was used for training. There are a bunch of wooden lockers here. Each of them has a traditional-looking woodblock key sticking out of them. I guess they're just for show. There's nothing in particular that looks like a clue. Alright, we're done in here.
Are there any other Monokumas maybe around here? Or would that be too weird?
I mean, there can be. I could take a look around. I'm still surprised that there are more Monokubas at all. We filled the stand up. Oh,
Wait, what?
pet.
No, not the pet. The fact that the door is able to. That looked weird.
Okay.
More Monica Robinette and coconut juice?
Okay. Alright. I feel like we're probably not going to get another one, so...
Yeah, I see Kazuichi over there.
Also, oh wait, now we can go into this door.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Oh, I didn't hear that because I was looking at the pet. Oh. Book.
Something there.
This is another manga. It's laying on top of the desk. This one is Manga for Morons, The Tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy. Wasn't The Tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy mentioned in that other manga too? It's why Hope's Peak Academy went bankrupt, and it was the trigger for the biggest, most tragic, most awful event in human history. If I read this manga, will I be able to learn a little more about that incident?
Give me a bit, I gotta check on the guy.
Alright, well, it's just Rhino reading now, so. I took the manga from the desk and started flipping through the pages to see what I could learn about the event known as the Tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy. The story made heavy use of outdated, stylized drawings depicting characters solving mysteries. What's written here is...
As the name suggests, the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy occurred at Hope's Peak Academy. The key player in that event was a student named Izuru Kamakura. Izuru was a genius known as Symbol of Hope. Hope's Peak Academy used all their resources to develop him. Supposedly, Izuru was a genius among geniuses and possessed various talents. Wielding superior talent for the hope of mankind, the Academy referred to Izuru as the Ultimate Hope. To protect such a rare talent, the Academy completely concealed all evidence of Izuru's origins and identity. Because of that, most of the students at the Academy were completely unaware of Izuru's existence. But Izuru, who was known as the Symbol of Hope, was responsible for a horrible incident. 13 students of Hope's Peak Academy Student Council, one of the Academy's best and brightest, were brutally murdered by Izuru. However, the incident did not end there. The Academy tried to protect Izuru's superior talent and concealed the incident as though it never happened. However, a certain student began working in secret to use that incident to their advantage. The student uncovered what the Academy did, and by making that knowledge public, it stoked the fires of Reserve Corps students who had long been dissatisfied with how they'd been treated. And the uprising began. And that heralded Hope's Peak Academy's destruction. This is the entirety of the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy. Eventually, that incident would lead to that horrifying, devastating incident. The incident that would be known as the biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history. Works cited Danganronpa/0.
With a heavy sigh, I closed the manga. Am I supposed to believe this? There's no way 13 people were killed at Hope's Peak Academy.
What irony! For a genius knows the ultimate hope to cause such a gruesome incident. A talent like that is too regal for society. It's like trying to buy juice with a bar of gold. Woo-hoo-hoo! You should be lucky you're that incompetent.
Damn it. He always has to lead up to something offensive. He seriously pisses me off. But ultimate hope? Nagito mentioned that before too, but it looks like it means something completely different here. What Nagito said was the true meaning of hope. But for Izuru, hope simply means talent. More importantly, a genius who possesses various talents. I wish they'd given me one of those talents so I didn't have to be in the reserve department. That's right, the reserve department. Here, it said that the Reserve Corps students in the reserve department began uprising. And what about me? Was I a participant too? No, that's not possible. There's no way. I have no reason to do something like that.
What did I miss?
The Tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy.
What's going on?
Let me get through the dialogue first. Anyway, I've learned about the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy, but the biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history is a far worse incident, right? They have to give it 3 adjectives. What kind of incident was it? And who's this other student that isn't Izuru? A certain student who secretly used the incident to their advantage. Who is that? This incident is really messed up, but all it's doing is raising more questions. The mysteries just keep piling up. Alright, so basically we found another manga that told us about the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy. Basically, someone called Izuru Kamakura was made to be the ultimate Hope, and then he killed 13 people. And then Hope's Peak Academy was like, yeah, we're gonna cover this up. And then someone else another student, probably Junko, was like, I'm going to use this to my advantage, and this led to the worst, most awful, most tragic event in human history or whatever. And also involved the reserve corps students rising up.
Mm-hmm.
So. Alright, now I guess let's see what has opened up next.
Med lab, maybe?
Yep. Or biolab. Raw! It's fucking raw!
Another manga.
What the hell is with this room? It's freaking cold in here. It's like I'm in a freezer or something. If I just stand still, I might end up freezing to death. I should hurry up and investigate so I can get out of here already. The floor looks like a texture that hasn't loaded in yet.
Kinda, yeah.
There's another manga just laying around here. This time the title is Manga for Morons, the biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history. I knew it. The next one would obviously be about this incident. The biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history, huh? Jesus Christ, it's a mouthful.
Yeah, it is.
Just what was that incident really all about? Might turn out to be something lame. I flipped through the pages of the manga.
Tragic event in human history. Someone had lost their puppy.
I flipped through the pages of the manga and hoped that I was right.
Wow, that cover.
A story about creepily drawn characters who get involved in such horrifying incidents. An incident known as the biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history.
Is it by Junji Ito?
Is this drawn so grotesquely because the incident itself is that grotesque? Anyway, the beginning of this creepy manga starts with this sentence. The tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy was simply the trigger. There we go, now it's green text. Also, Eve, we can hear you eating.
At first, the uprising by the Reserve Corps students that triggered the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy was initially hoped to be resolved quickly, but the situation continued to escalate to dangerous extremes. The movement started spreading all around the internet and fostered a thriving online community. The community was not limited to students, and people of various races and nations began to join in. But the movement was not confined to the internet and began spreading and eroding all over the world. When movement started, it was indistinguishable from any other demonstration inspired by social unrest. But as it spread across the world, certain abnormalities soon came to light. By then it was too late. The ends and the means had vanished, and wanton destruction became their only goal. The strong butchered the weak. The weak killed the weakest among them. And soon the weak formed factions to brutally murder the strong. And the violence and death continued to spread. The shock of their actions began to disappear.
This is getting kind of concerning.
And the era was regressing to more uncivilized times, when senseless deaths were the norm. The media was oversaturated with deaths to the point where people would watch them while enjoying a meal. By the time the world realized what it had become, it was too late to stop when it happened.
Why does that make me think of, like, The Walking Dead or something.
A feeling of immense despair began spreading and eventually engulfed the world. Acts of terrorism and coups d'etat began occurring around the world. I can say coup d'etat, I can't say began. A war waged in the name of despair. A war fought not for principles, religion, or personal gain. Just war. Pure war. Because of that, there was no way to resolve it. How can a movement started by high school students progress to such a hopeless scenario? The only explanation is the existence of a certain organization devoted to a certain student who influenced Hope's Peak Academy. A group called Ultimate Despair. Instead of using Hope's Peak Academy's talent for the sake of mankind's hope, they use them for the sake of mankind's despair. Key members of society use their influence to brainwash the masses in order to spread despair. Tech-savvy computer programmers wrote software to spread despair. Powerful and influential created new values and morals to spread despair. And with this, they created the tragedy, the biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history. As long as ultimate despair exists, the despair engulfing the world will never end. The tragedy will never end. Well, that was a long one.
My heart was racing in my chest, but my body felt ice cold.
Does that mean we're going to hear about Ultimate Despair next?
What?
Does that mean we're going to hear about Ultimate Despair next?
Possibly.
At least they finally fucking told us what the event was that they didn't even tell us in Danganronpa 1.
They were deliberately vague about it in Danganronpa 1. All I remember is it's like, the world's been destroyed, and people are happily watching this TV show of you guys killing each other.
I think the TV show was to get rid of the last bit of hope, but yeah.
It wasn't because I was freezing in this room. The biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history. This is definitely all made up.
So let me make sure I got this right. So Izumu, or whatever the name was.
Izuru.
Izumaru. Killed kids. The academy covered it up. Someone exposed it.
It's a coup.
Someone exposed it, and so then the students rioted. What was the next part?
No, it was they covered it up, and someone used the situation to their advantage. It hasn't specified what that was, but they used.
I'm thinking it was probably Junko.
I mean, yeah. Also, the reserve course department started rising up. Presumably,
because they found out. Yeah.
Yeah, because they found out.
Right. That's what I said.
And then
Excuse me.
I don't know what happened next immediately. They were kind of vague about it, but basically it somehow transitioned from that to, they started using the talents of Hope's Peak Academy to fuck the world over.
It said, I thought it was like...
No. There was one where it's like people started forming
right, no.
Strong for the week and all
right,
that.
no, I remember now. They started exposing it to the rest of the world, and so people all over the rest of the world were like, wow, fuck Hope's Peak Academy, and they joined up under the Ultimate Despair, I guess, because Ultimate Despair was like, let's screw over Hope's Peak, let's get revenge on Hope's Peak Academy or something.
Something like that.
And then eventually it went from revenge to just, hey, we like causing mayhem, let's keep doing that. And then eventually, like, all over, people started splitting off into groups because the world was being destroyed or something.
There's a jump somewhere in there.
Yeah, but it's basically, it went from, the Reserve Corps students got mad, and then, as they were trying to get payback, it eventually warped into, hey, we just like causing shit. We just like fucking things over. That's it. So, it was literally a case of some men just want to watch the world burn. I mean, if this is really true, then what's happening in the outside world? My family, my friends, the convenience store I frequent, the nearby bookstore, my favorite restaurant? What's happened to them?
Hey, are you seriously yelling at a manga? How crazy are you?
Who would enjoy reading something like this?
Oh my, you don't like manga? A high school student who doesn't like manga is like an office lady who doesn't like to eat candy.
Enough! What is this messed up manga?
I thought you'd obviously know about such a horrible event that destroyed the world, but for you not to remember that, such despair. That's the Future Foundation's fault, though, thanks to them stealing your school memories. The incident that happened during that period has been completely removed from your brains.
This incident really happened? And I actually forgot about it? There's no way that's possible!
How many times do I have to tell you? All the clues here are real. Please understand, I'm rooting for you. If you don't learn about the full extent of the outside world, you guys will suffer for it. I just want to help you guys so you can live in well-adjusted lives in the outside world.
I see. So that's how it is. That's what he meant by what he said at the beginning.
Flashback.
Let me guess, he said something along the lines of, "Yeah, everything in there is absolutely 100% true. I wanted to let you know."
He's trying to
Something
make
like that, right?
he's trying to make us feel despair toward the outside world, so we'll want to stay on this island. But there's no way I'm gonna do what he wants. Despair like that simply can't exist. The outside world should be filled with hope. Just like now. Perhaps. No, that's definitely it. Whether or not this incident really happened, what in the world is this ultimate despair group? If they're devoted to a certain student who guided Hope's Peak Academy to its destruction, are they connected to both the tragedy and the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy? That's really confusing.
Really?
Please give them different names. Plus, that organization isn't just one person, but a group of people. But if they're known as Ultimate Despair, they're high school students, right?
Okay, let me review here for a second again. So, the tragedy, which is the initial thing, was the 13 students dying, yes?
No, that was the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy.
But what was the initial one?
That was the initial one. There's the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy, which eventually led to the tragedy.
Which is the most horrible blah 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 blah.
Yeah, and that is basically the world went to shit. Like, it doesn't seem to be an event, it's just
The end of the world, I guess.
basically
It was a series of events.
yeah, it's not a single event. It's basically just when everyone started causing wanton destruction for the sake of it under ultimate despair.
Okay. Sorry, I want to make sure I'm getting all this straight here.
Yeah, they're not very good with their names here. Well, if they were actually able to do it, then I guess that's why they were called Ultimates. Then, are the killings we're involved in connected to them as well? It's no use. I'm gonna freeze to death. I'm at my limit. I need to get out of here.
It's no use.
Shivering, I ran out of the freezing room. That was close. Nearly froze to death. Where should I go next? Can I go back in? Yes, I can. I just want to take a quick look to see if there's Monokumas.
That's fair.
Aha!
Sneaky one, wasn't it?
Alright. Is there anything else to look at in here? Tarp.
Tarp.
This looks like a plastic tarp. Why is this left out like this? Clean up after yourselves, will you? I've seen this in movies before. It's a refrigerator for preserving dead bodies. At least that's what it looks like. That's not possible, right? Keeping dead bodies in a high school biolab isn't something you should joke about.
Now there's an ultimate coroner. We need it for him.
It just feels so forced. This idea should have been canceled during development or something. What am I thinking? Alright, we're done in there.
Is he going? What's with him being meta all of a sudden?
I don't know.
Actually, I'm curious now. Go back to that first room that we had.
No.
No, not the archery room. The other one. The one at the
Don't
very
do
end
it.
of the hallway.
It's a trap.
Because I wanted to see what he says about all the other stuff in there. If there's any meta stuff there too.
You mean the stuff that I already looked at?
I mean, maybe it's different this time.
No, I'm not gonna go looking at it.
Okay, fair.
We want to get on with the game.
That's fair.
All right, 5B is the one that's open now.
Especially because I napped, so I'm awake now.
Like currently, the entire game is just like, hey, here's a bunch of exposition. I'm just like, okay, let's try to get through it quickly. No, I should ignore it. I'm just gonna pretend I didn't see him.
Is there another one to come in here? Besides him? No. Guess not.
I don't see one.
That's a shame. Maybe we're going to other floors or something. I don't know.
I went inside this room. The bastard bear was suddenly here. Keeps glancing at me. Wonder why. It's gonna be shitty either way. I'll let you handle it. No way I'm gonna deal with that idiot. I don't want to do that either. Eh.
Why, hello, Hajime. I hope you're doing pleasingly well. Are you pleasingly well? You're pleasingly well, right?
What are you doing here?
Well, there was another thing I needed to tell you on this floor. I got bored of drawing manga. Can you forgive me by telling you word of mouth?
You should have done that from the beginning. I didn't want to read your manga in the first place.
A high school student who doesn't like manga is like a sumo wrestler who doesn't like eating hot pots.
I'm getting really fed up with your babbling. Hurry up! What did you need to tell me?
It's about that key piece of information you've been waiting so long for. Surprise! It's about ultimate despair.
Huh? I've been wondering about that for like 2 minutes.
Ahem. Even though the term ultimate despair refers to a group these days, it was originally the title for a high school girl who was the most powerful, evil, and feared person alive.
A high school girl?
Lady Junko Enoshima.
Junko Enoshima?
As the former ultimate despair, she created a despair brimming with charm and humor. And created the ultimate despair. There was one really horrible person in that group.
Hold on a sec. I don't know what the ultimate despairs are, but it's not that easy to form an organization. There's no way people would join some fucked up organization created by a high school girl.
Humans who are obsessed with their philosophy have an uncanny power to attract others.
Also, she was hot.
Not that hot.
She was a model.
Okay.
It's a trait shared by many famous leaders throughout history, right? There's nothing strange about it. That holds true for Lady Junko. With her charismatic ability to attract people, she even influenced those in the highest echelons of power. Her connections were the main reason that the incident became the tragedy in the first place.
So she even recruited people who would have been in a position to neutralize the threat? And what was their purpose?
What?
Like I said, why did they cause that incident? Doesn't even make sense. They had a purpose, right? There's no way they'd do what they did without any purpose.
It was Junko Enoshima's despair.
Huh?
For Junko Enoshima, despair isn't about purpose, a set of principles, a way of life, or an instinct. Despair is what defines Junko Enoshima as Junko Enoshima.
What are you saying?
I'm a stuffed plushie. Hajime is a human. It's exactly like that. Junko Enoshima is full of so much despair that she's truly hopeless. Living, dying, eating, loving, for her, everything is despair.
What the hell?
With her overwhelming force of personality, Junko recruited the ultimate despairs one by one. She controlled their despair by taking advantage of their love, hate, grudges, anything really. Junko's despair is far more dreadful than any other. That idea had been slammed right into their minds. And so the ultimate despairs who had been recruited became nothing more than Junko's limbs. All despair, whether or not it was their own or anyone else's, was dedicated to Junko Enoshima. Like believers making offerings to their god. Like a mother providing food to her children. They all dedicated all despair so they could escape from despair, all in Junko Enoshima's name. For example, they killed their families and friends and even destroyed their bodies through relentless mutilation.
Ugh.
And to hopelessly top it all, they completely believed it was something that they had to do.
There's no way something that crazy is possible.
Do you know about the final days of the Reserve Corps students during the tragedy of Hope Peak Academy?
Final days?
Junko has the power to change people's values. This is also true of famous people throughout history.
Hey, what do you mean final days? What happened to the reserve department?
They fulfilled their role as disposable limbs. They believed in what they needed to do. And so the 2,357 students in the reserve department all committed mass suicide.
Sorry, what?
Mass suicide? All 2,357 students?
Oops, it wasn't all of them. One person was excluded.
One person was excluded, huh? Is that me? I don't believe it. There's no way I can believe this. Ultimate despair, Junko Enoshima. It doesn't scare me at all. I mean, Junko Enoshima is already dead! Huh?
Have we been getting truth bullets this whole time?
Yes.
Oh.
Talk to him. See what he has. If he has anything to say about that next time.
Hey, Fuyuhiko, is it true what you said? Junko Enoshima is really dead? What, you didn't see? It was a book called Manga for Morons, Killing School Life in that bloody classroom. A bloody classroom? No, wait, what was that you said about the killing school life? Also, do you mean, like, a classroom full of blood? Or are you just using, like, the British swear because you don't like the classroom? Hajime, you gonna let me talk or not? Sorry. Like, the killings we were involved in, they were killings that happened... I feel like this is supposed to be Fuyuhiko, but there were killings that happened at Hope's Peak Academy. As I recall, the mastermind took her own life because the remaining students worked together to defeat her. Yeah, that's what it was. The killing school life ended up failing in the end. As a result, the 6 students who survived managed to escape from the academy. For a manga about the killing school life, it was drawn with a lot of silly images and dumb gags. According to that, the mastermind behind the failed killing school life was Junko Enoshima. The mastermind took her own life, which means Junko Enoshima is dead. Turns out that killing school life was part of that whole biggest, most awful whatever incident. See, even he's tired of it! Junko took away the memories of former students of Hope's Peak Academy and forced them to kill each other. Former students of Hope's Peak Academy, and she took away their memories. That's just like us. Apparently, the whole thing was being filmed by surveillance cameras and broadcast worldwide. There's a limit to being a cruel asshole. The surveillance cameras were broadcasting the whole thing? The students of Hope's Peak Academy are widely known as symbols of hope. By forcing people to watch these symbols of hope kill each other for the sake of survival, they were trying to fill everyone who watched the broadcast with despair all at once. That's messed up! But that messed up plan was stopped. Junko Enoshima failed. Junko lost to the student she placed in a trap, and after being overcome by the despair she created, she took her own life. Then Junko was no more.
Why do we keep cutting back to Monokuma whenever they talk about that?
No matter how horrible she was, there's no reason to fear someone who's dead. Whether Monokuma's story is true or not doesn't matter. Junko Enoshima isn't alive anymore. Then, who is our enemy? If Junko Enoshima is already dead, are the rest of the Ultimate Despairs behind this? Are the followers of Junko carrying out her will? That's the only thing I can think of. I mean, the killings we're involved in resemble that killing school life. Well, I don't know who the hell is imitating Junko and making us go through this, but an imitation is just that, an imitation. If the students from Hope Peak Academy stomp the real deal, there's no way we'll lose to some fake. But if this is really an imitation, are those surveillance cameras the same too? The cameras all over Jabberwock Island. Are they broadcasting to somewhere? Just like the surveillance cameras during the killing school life?
I thought Monami said they didn't need any. They weren't working or something.
I don't know. That's been updated.
Man, Hajime, you totally know about that story, huh?
What? You have a problem with that?
Well, I really wanted you to read the manga version since I took the time to draw it. Oh well, I'll just raise the flag.
What flag?
Flag? What do you mean, raise the flag? What's gonna happen if you do that?
One step at a time, you're getting closer to clearing my character out.
I don't want your character out.
You're not making sense again.
Now then, I'll give you guys my all. I'll tell you everything I know, including information on the outside and the inside. I'll raise them flags like crazy.
I assume that's like gaming speak, like the programming type of flag.
Yes.
What a surprise! Do you want to hear about the Ultimate Despairs again?
No, I don't really need you to.
Even though the term Ultimate Despair refers to a group these days,
He just started on his own.
as a former Ultimate Despair and created with her charismatic ability, her connections were the main reason.
It's fine already, you don't have to keep explaining.
Oh, it's fine already. I'm just getting to the good part.
Good part or not, I've already heard this from you before. Okay, I didn't think talking to him would make it happen again.
Did our pet ever grow up?
What? Huh? It changed to a different hallway again. It's so sudden. What's going on to make something like this happen? No, I've already decided that I'm not going to be surprised. That's right. There's no time for being surprised by something like this. Yeah, we have egg now.
Oh, what did we get when it left?
Some coins and, some items.
Yeah.
Akane's twitching her nose like a beast and examining her surroundings. Hey, what happened?
Well, you know, it's just my gut, but I feel like something getting closer.
Huh? What do you mean?
I don't know, it's just my gut after all. It's just my gut.
But still,
What gut?
her gut is pretty impressive. For some reason, it's strangely intuitive. And Monokuma did say something about the main cast coming. It's surprising, but her gut must be correct again this time. Eh? Hey, we have a new pet, guys.
Well, it's just a baby for him. I don't know if we're gonna get to 1,000 steps.
Yeah, we'd have to actually go out of our way to try, so I'm just gonna ignore it at this point.
Was that above our heads?
Don't worry about it.
I have to worry
It's
about it.
It's a hypostasis.
A what?